Hello friends, we are here to discuss a topic of BLI 223, Organizing and Managing Information. This course is part of the program BLS Online, and we have had earlier discussions also, and we have seen that in this course we are basically talking of how to organize knowledge and its components, how to organize the representatives of this knowledge which are there in the form of different types of documents in a library. We can apply this not only to documents in print form but also documents in other forms and formats. We have also seen that classification can be applied to organize electronic information, digital information, information on the web, and this has been and is being used for the organizing the knowledge on the web. There are some examples and instances, and it has been very successfully used. The theory for library classification, particularly the dynamic theory of library classification, was given by none other than the father of library information science in India, Dr. Shyali Ramamita Ranganathan, popularly known as S.R. Ranganathan. See, Ranganathan had given laws of library science, he had given postulates of library science, library classification, he has given postulates for library cataloging also, he gave principles for library classification. So, it is to his credit that we have a sound theory of library classification, library cataloging, library science, and we should understand these postulates, principles, theories, philosophy so as to apply them, to further them, to modify them, and learn how this can be used to provide service to our users. The information may change, it may change forms, formats and content, but these should be applied so as to provide better service to our users. This is also important to justify the importance of a profession, a discipline like library and information science. Otherwise, there is a feeling that is creeping in circles in society that there is no more the need for this discipline and anyone and everyone can manage information. This is not true, because this sound theory, the mass of knowledge that is there, that characterizes the discipline, should be learned, should be understood, should be applied, and we should also work on it. Theoretical research should be done so as to add to this repertoire of knowledge, and it is here that we are discussing a very important topic which was given by Ranganathan as planes of work. This is part of library classification, but then as a concept it can be usefully applied in other branches of knowledge also, and also in our learning otherwise in this universe of knowledge. This is a very useful idea that was given by Ranganathan. So, planes of work, the term plane as we understand in the discipline geometry, it is nothing like that, but planes here correspond to levels. So, whenever we work at different levels which he has mentioned as planes, and he has given these planes of work for the work of classification in a library. And why he has given this concept of planes of work? Because if we implement and consciously work in different planes of work in library classification, we are able to do it better. We are able to do it in a coordinated way. We are able to successfully implement our ideas and thoughts and achieve our objectives of library classification in a better way. Though we do it otherwise also, but having given this as a theory, if we consciously implement it, we are able to really achieve library classification better. We are able to design library classification better. We are able to improve library classification for information organization, knowledge organization better. So, this is the purpose of giving this concept of planes of work. Now, these planes, as I was mentioning as levels, he has given these planes as 3 different planes, and he has named these planes as idea plane, verbal plane and notational plane. So, Ranganathan says there are 3 planes of work, and these planes of work have been mentioned here on your screen if you see the idea plane, verbal plane and notational plane. Let us talk of these planes one by one. What is this idea plane? As the term itself suggests, it is the level, the first level at which we work when we work at the level of idea. We have some thoughts, we are working here at the idea plane. So, when you apply, when you work on the universe of subjects, these subjects have been expressed and we try to understand about these subjects. The first plane is idea plane, understanding about these subjects. So, when we organize these subjects, we have to understand what these subjects are, we have to understand the relationship among these subjects, and we should try to express these relationships based on our understanding. So, what do we do in turn at the idea plane? We try to put a structure, as we had said earlier, map these concepts and ideas that exist amongst the different subjects in this universe of subjects. And while mapping the ideas, we tend to identify the relationship among the subjects. And when we understand these relationships, we put these relationships into black and white, and we tend to express these relationships as near neighborhood relationships. We tend to give them a sequence. We tend to put our thoughts into structure, structured thoughts, so as to understand these subjects better, so as to express the relationship among these subjects better. All this we are doing at idea level. Our thoughts are developing. We are trying to organize our thoughts at the idea plane. This is what he referred to as idea plane. Verbal plane. Once we have understood these relationships, once we have understood what these concepts are, we have understood how these concepts are related to each other, we give them names. We give them a terminology. Like when I say library information science, immediately the idea that comes to you is that we are talking of libraries, the types of libraries, the purpose of a library, the role of a library, why a library is needed, what the library does, what are its functions, what are the different types of library. So, we are just thinking at idea level. We give them terms also, we give them these concepts, these thoughts are given terms, names expressed as words. This is while we are working at a verbal plane. You know, every discipline has a terminology, and this terminology is used in a specific sense. This terminology is developed from simple, generic to specific, and this terminology should be specific. It should be free of homonyms and synonyms. It should be objective also. This terminology should not be biased. It should convey the same in all conditions, and therefore we tend to develop a term. Every discipline, every subject has its terminology, and it is specific, it is mentioned, it is stated and followed. So, this is done at the verbal plane. We are talking of this in the discipline of library classification, in the subject library classification under the discipline library and information science. Notational plane, the thoughts that we have developed at the idea level, the different facets, the different the structure of the discipline or the subject that we have understood at the idea plane, it is to be given notation at the notational level. Now you can ask a question, we have already given name at the verbal plane, why do we want a notational plane? Always in general life also, while we understand a discipline or a subject, we work at idea and verbal. Why a notational plane? You would have seen there are disciplines where we have a notational plane also. We work on the notational plane also. Like in algebra, in mathematics, we have the idea and verbal plane, but there is a notational plane also. You talk of a discipline like chemistry, you have a idea plane, you have a verbal plane, but you have a notational plane also. I say calcium, immediately you know that calcium it belongs to a particular group of the periodic table. It has certain properties, but I say Ca, immediately you say it is calcium. There is a notation for calcium, Ca. Iron, immediately you say this belongs to this group and this period of the periodic table, and I say Fe. I have given a notation to iron. Similarly, you think of the other disciplines also where you work at three planes: idea, verbal and notational. Similarly, in library classification also we work at three planes and consciously work at three planes. We tend to implement the ideas of the idea plane at the notational plane. They should be corresponding to each other, and also these ideas are given terminology, names, and which these names are such that they are objective, they are not biased, they are homonyms free, they are synonym free. And why it should be homonym free and synonym free? Because in daily life, when we have our language is full of homonyms and synonyms, but then it may suffer due to homonyms and synonyms, but it does not suffer otherwise, because we tend to state the context. While we are discussing, while we are writing, we tend to give the context also. But in library classification, when we give them names and these names are fixed, they should be free of these so as not to result into any confusion, any doubt in the minds of those who use these terms. In any discipline, when terminology is developed, it is seen that it should be one-to-one, it should be specific, it should not convey different senses. It should not be that for the same idea we can state it in different ways. So we are having a control on the language. There is nothing wrong in a language having homonyms and synonyms. This is the beauty of a language. Language is flexible in nature. There are dialects, there are homonyms, there are synonyms. That is a beauty of a language. You can express it in different ways. But when you talk of scientific terminology to be developed for a subject, these should not be there so as not to create any confusion. Similarly, parallel to that, in library classification also, at the verbal plane, the terminology should be free of homonym, synonym, and should be scientific, should be free of any bias, and therefore should be objective. Let us go further. Why should we have planes of work in library classification? We have discussed earlier also that it is required for systematic development of the theory of classification, and also it helps to coordinate the work in the different planes, particularly idea plane and the notational plane, because as we have seen, notation is not always there, not required in all subjects, but it is required in library classification. Why it is required? Because we have seen that while we classify different types of documents in a library, we cannot express, we cannot denote the different subjects by their names, because names are always changing, names are different in different languages, they may be different at different periods of time, and they are also long. You cannot write names of subjects as you see in a library. The notation is given on the spine of a book, it is given in a catalog card at different places in the shelves also. If you give long names as they exist in different languages, it is not possible. Therefore, it has to be a short name, it should be a name in shorthand, and therefore we have notation for that. And therefore, to develop that notation, we need a notational plane also. Working at three planes of works also helps us to develop the subject in a holistic way. Holistic development is possible because we work at three planes of work. What do we mean by holistic? So as to take the thoughts at different planes parallel in an integrated way. Now Ranganathan has given canons of work in the planes, in the three planes. And what are these canons? We have studied laws of library science. We all know there are 5 laws of library science, and we have also understood why these laws have been given, how these laws are helpful, and we have seen that our work in library goes in scientific way, our work in library goes in a way so as to develop our services in a scientific way, and also we are guided so as to serve our users in the best possible way. These laws guide us in our work. Whenever we are in a problem, whenever there is a confusion, we seek resort to these laws. They help us, they guide us to provide objective services, best possible services, and our procedures also. Whenever there is a doubt, we are guided by these laws of library science. So laws for the discipline, canons for the subjects of the discipline. So like laws, we have canons, canons for classification, canons for cataloging. Therefore, canons are like laws at the level of discipline, canons at the level of the subjects. These canons for library classification, as we said, Ranganathan said, the work of library classification at 3 planes: idea plane, verbal plane and notational plane. Similarly, canons also at 3 planes: canons for idea plane, canons for verbal plane and canons for the notational plane. So, if we follow the canons, if we understand the canons and follow them, they can be useful for 2 sets of people: the classificationists and the classifiers. As we said that laws of library science are helpful to librarian working in the library to provide services, to plan services, to design services, to plan operations, to do operations. Similarly, canons for idea plane, verbal plane, notational plane are useful to the classificationist. Classificationist means one who designs a scheme of classification, and also for a classifier who applies this scheme of classification while classifying in a library. Now let us state these canons, the canons of idea plane. Canons of idea plane are canons of characteristics, canons for succession of characteristics, canons for arrays, canon for chains and canons for filiatory sequence. We will discuss these canons one after the other. We need a longer time for discussing these canons, but then before discussing these canons, why he gave such canons? Why these canons? Because once we start discussing the canons, to put them into context, we should first of all understand why only these canons. The reason is that whenever you want to classify, whenever there is a universe which is to be classified, and particularly when you talk of library classification, whenever there is a universe of knowledge, whenever there is a universe of subjects, it is to be classified. The main aspect that has to be noted is the characteristics of these entities that are part of this universe. And if we have to handle the entities, we have to know these characteristics. Therefore, first of all, Ranganathan has given canons of characteristics. And within canons of characteristics, he has given further canons, that is canons for succession of characteristics. Why? What is this succession of characteristics? In a universe of knowledge, when there are different entities, these entities do not have just one characteristic, they have many characteristics. So what are these characteristics, and in what order these characteristics have to be applied to achieve classification? For that guidance, Ranganathan has given a canon which says succession of characteristics, one after the other. Which characteristic first, which second, which third? This guides us for how to apply characteristics in succession, one after the other. Then canons for arrays. While we do this, while we apply characteristics in succession one after the other, we result into arrays. A little later we will try to identify what is an array. You just at the moment try to understand, yes, there are canons for arrays. Similarly, while we do the process of classification, we result into chains. Basically, these arrays and chains are concepts in relation to each other. We will see how arrays and chains are, but there are canons for arrays and chains. And finally, canons for filiatory sequence. Filiatory sequence means a sequence of entities in affiliation, in order of affiliation. That is what is canon of filiatory sequence. Affiliation means the order of nearness between the entities, how they are related to each other, in what order they are related. That is what is called affiliation, and that canon is called canon for filiatory sequence. Now, canons for characteristics. In this canons for characteristics, as this is the first one, as we have right now seen, there are different canons. These are canon of differentiation. Differentiation means you are able to differentiate among these entities that are part of this universe. Canon of relevance means there are so many characteristics on the basis of which we can differentiate these entities, but some of these canons are relevant for the purpose of classification. For that, canon of relevance has been given. Canon of ascertainability. These entities may possess a number of characteristics, but some of these characteristics may not be ascertained. It is difficult for the characteristics to be ascertained. You would agree with this, that entities may have characteristics, but it may be difficult to ascertain some of these characteristics. Therefore, only those characteristics which could be ascertained, this canon states that those should be considered. And finally, the last canon in the canons of characteristics is canon of permanence. It says that it should be permanent. Similarly, we have canons for succession of characteristics, which are canon of concomitance, canon of relevant succession, and canon of consistent succession. Basically, these canons for succession of characteristics guide us how characteristics should be applied one after the other. We will discuss these canons in detail in our later sessions. Right now, let us try to understand what is an array and chain. If you see this diagram on your screen, you have to understand what is this process of classification. This has been taken from Ranganathan's Prolegomena to library classification. By seeing this, by knowing this, we can always be very clear about the process of classification. If you see there are a number of boxes in this diagram, and these boxes are connected to each other hierarchically, vertically and horizontally. When we say hierarchically means one box on the top, little down, little down, little down. So this is a hierarchy. You also see in these boxes some notation has been written. In fact, these are Indo-Arabic ordinal numbers, 0, 1, 2 and 2, 1, 3, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, like these. These are all decimal numbers. These are all decimal numbers. So this is how classification is done. Let me explain. The box on the top with the notation 0 is like the universe of knowledge. It is the whole universe of knowledge. This may be universe of knowledge or any universe in a particular context. Like if you are talking of academic libraries, this universe of knowledge should be on the top, that is box with the notation 0. This is the universe of knowledge, which is also called the original universe of knowledge. And this universe of knowledge as such cannot be handled because of the large number of entities that it possesses of different types. To understand, to further understand this, we tend to divide it into groups and subgroups, as we had in our earlier sessions seen that there is a process called division, dichotomy, like that. These are divided further on the basis of characteristics, and on the basis of these, this results into 3 divisions. We find 3 boxes coming out of it, 1, 2, 3. Basically this is point 1, point 2, point 3. The initial point has not been written here, and these are like 3 sub universes of the universe 0, or you can say like if 0 gives birth to 3 further babies 1, 2 and 3. So, these are different parts of this 0 as 1, 2, 3. We have used some characteristics, we have tried to differentiate these 3 as 1, 2, 3. Further, 1 is divided as 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. 2, 1 as 2, 1, 2, 2. 3, 1 could not be further subdivided, therefore, you do not find any box hanging from 3. Similarly, 1, 2 is further subdivided into 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2. 1, 2, 1 is divided into 1, 2, 1, 1. 1, 2, 1, 1 is divided into 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. Parallelly, you find here on the right hand side also 2, 1 and 2, 2 and so on going down. So, this is how classification is done. And finally, when you reach the boxes which are no more divided, they are not no more divided because they contain only one member each. So, this is how we do classification. So, what is there in classification? We start with a group, with a universe which has multiple entities, which have multiple members, which are different from each other. How do we see them as different? On the basis of their characteristics. On the basis of their characteristics, we try to differentiate them, we put them into further smaller subgroups, and these smaller subgroups are further divided and seen as smaller subgroups, and this process keeps on going till we reach groups with one member each. This is the process of classification, and in this process we get arrays and chains. So, what is an array? These groups that are of the same order, they comprise an array. Like I give you a simple example, there is a family and there are children in the family. These children comprise an array. Out of these children, there are further their grandchildren, they are another array. So, these are arrays like the real brothers and sisters of a family, not the cousins, real brothers, because they are coming out of the same universe. And like we say generations in a family, that comprises a chain. Like here you see 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. This is a chain. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. This is another chain. So, we have these concepts in classification, and this is how classification is done. Now, you can very well realize that in this universe of knowledge, there are so many such relationships, there are so many such families, these have to be subdivided, and you can very well realize how difficult is this process of creating a scheme of classification, designing a scheme of classification. There are so many different branches of knowledge. We have to see how these branches are different from each other, which are related to each other, what is the degree of relationship between them. This is how they are mapped on the basis of characteristics. We come across different arrays, different chains. All this is done at the idea level. They are given names parallel to the names that have been given by philosophers in the knowledge classification, and they are given in notation which serves our purpose of classification in a library, which is done by library classificationists, which is done by people who have designed schemes of classification and used by classifiers. So therefore, the concept of idea plane, verbal plane, notational plane that has been given by Ranganathan, and particularly keeping in view the faceted scheme of classification that he has given, these are really useful, applied and systematically applied. They help us to organize this universe of knowledge and put it in a way so that when used to organize books in different types of documents in a library, our users are best served. We are able to save their time. We are able to see that every book reaches its reader, every reader is able to reach his or her book, and we are able to take care of the needs and requirements of a growing library. We will continue further in our discussions later on. Thank you.